How you doing? www.andrewmarkmusic.com. On Foodbanks. This video is in response to a CBC article I read this morning about some guy who's traveling around Canada supposedly giving, $10,000 or $150,000 and $10,000 each to food banks. And I wanted to comment on that and the greater issue of food banks and why they came into existence. And so we're going to talk on that issue today. This is nothing personal to the person who's doing this. I don't know him from Adam. What I will say is that he's virtue signaling. This is unquestionable. Okay. The second thing I think you need to just notice about this is who is he giving the money to? And I think this is an extraordinarily important aspect of this. Is he giving the money to homeless people? No, he's not. He's giving it to food bank charities. Now, the issue with this is, where did these food banks come from? And I'm going to just do the timeline, through recent history, because I'm not talking about the 1930s or anything or whatever. Modern food banks are in response to the policies of neoliberalism, which I think I've defined correctly as economic fascism. So as the Chicago school policies took over the Western world, and especially, in North America, we saw the rise of food banks. Now, in a way, you could think of this as controlled opposition. The name gives it away. Bank, who wanted this? Well, of course, the banksters, right? These are the people that treat the bottom 20% of the pyramid within our cultures as they're predators and we're prey. So their whole system is set up in a predatory social Darwinist mode of operation. So that's something you really need to understand about this. Why are the food banks there? Well, I've just explained it. This is, in my estimation, indisputable. Now, I've gotten into the idea of how to really address this issue in a profound way. And it's based off of the ideas of Abraham Maslow, that human beings have primary needs. And what I'm suggesting is the primary needs should not be open to capitalist exploitation of the corporate oligarchy. And I could touch on the issue of pathology here, and that there may be a very high percentage of the people at the top of that pyramid who are sociopaths and psychopaths. And that would logically and reasonably explain why they find the need to be predators in a social Darwinist mode of operation. So what I'm saying is, a true and honest way forward on this issue would be to not exploit people's primary needs or basic needs, and to have a system in place where those needs are met, and then every human being can strive to reach their potential, whatever that is. And we would need to educate people about positive, healthy potential. And that would be, a profound aspect of this idea, this system, because it's no good giving people money and having them act out unhealthily. So education, this is why I say it's a 4-pillar approach. It's housing, food, education, and healthcare. And that all has to be socialized for the benefit of civilization and humanity. And I've actually even tied that currency, some kind of socialized currency like positivemoney.org, a public utility currency, in exchange for being taught how to live green, sustainable lifestyles. So I think that would be an important aspect to this. But the main point is here is that, the current propping up of the status quo is unacceptable, especially with this kind of virtue signaling. And I'm not picking on this individual at all. Maybe he's the nicest guy on earth. To me, that's irrelevant. I'm talking about the systemic issue, as far as, what's going on here. Now, juxtaposed to this is the corporate welfare of who gets money for free, and the casino owners, these corporate oligarchies they're priceless. They really are. They set up the whole casino so that all their friends benefit. They just help each other out. It's all welfare for them. Their welfare is taken care of. But everybody on the bottom end of the pyramid is open to exploitation, and the most crass, just inhumane forms of exploitation. And sure, right now, maybe in places like Canada, one could argue that it's not that bad at the moment. Well, yes, it can certainly always get worse. And one of the first things I've said on the internet was I'm here to try and help things not get worse. And in my opinion, since I started being on the internet, things are getting worse. They're not getting better. And these are the issues I want to address. I want to address systemic issues, because one guy going around giving money to charities, it's not going to make any difference. Another element of this are the philanthropic foundations set up by the corporate casino owners. And I think there's plenty of evidence that these are less than reputable. So I'm going to just give a little tip of the thumb here, a thumbs up to Kayla Nisu, who I just listened to do a podcast. He wants to set up a foundation based on similar principles of my global commons idea. Now, the difference between Kalen and my ideas is my ideas are based on secular metaphysics. So I'm saying that we need to address this issue via empiricism, logic, and reason as far as those faculties allow us. And I don't need necessarily any metaphysics to implement this. I think there's plenty of evidence saying that the top of the pyramid has a disproportionate amount of sociopaths and psychopaths, and this needs to be addressed, and their mode of operation of how they run society needs to be addressed. And I don't need metaphysics to deal with this issue. Now, Kalen's ideas are based on his metaphysics, and I'm ambivalent about them. I consider them possible, but he addresses the same points, right, about primary needs, and I think that's the takeaway why I'm bringing this up. Whether anybody wants to consider what he's saying about the universe and metaphysics, well, that's up to anybody to want to disregard or not. But how you doing, Caitlin? What else? What else do I have to say here? I think that pretty well covers it. Oh, well, yes, the quality of the food. Okay, so there's two more points I want to make here. Under my system, my idea of a global commons four-pillar society, the quality of the food would be extraordinarily important. And part of the education system would be to teach people who get this money how to grow their own quality food. The food from Foodbanks is inhuman. Okay, so I don't believe that is random either. So the quality of the food is extraordinarily important in my worldview. What else? There was one other point here. Yeah, the second point I want to make here is how did it get to this anyway? And I would say in modernity, how it got here is that human beings have been reduced to objects of exploitation. And this has happened because of the modern scientific worldview that correctly wanted to study the nature of existence and reality, but the dark side of it is that it just reduced everything to objects. And when you transfer that idea into the field of economics, well, you end up with this. So I think that definitely needs to be addressed. How do we have a renaissance on what a human being is, and why are dogs being treated better than 20% of human beings on this planet? And this is nothing against dogs, but I think there's just a profound skewered take about where our values lie, and what we value and why is extraordinarily pretzeled and illogical. It doesn't make a lot of rational sense. In fact, it's intolerably irrational and illogical, especially when you factor in, the greater issues going on. The sixth mass extinction, just extraordinarily destructive as far as pollution goes, and the limits to what this planet can sustain. So I think that pretty well covers all the issues I wanted to cover in this brief video as far as food banks. www.andrewmarkmusic.com. Oh, a shout out to Creepy Little Book. Get the fuck off the ice cream and pizza. All right. Peace out. Peace the fuck out. AndrewMarkMusic.com.